Today I'm at CodeMash in Sandusky, Ohio, and we just had an event. We just had a special event.
A little bit.
And I'm going to let our guest, Josh Holmes, evangelist for Microsoft, tell you about why this event was special.
So what we did, literally just finished the WebMatrix product launch here at CodeMash. And WebMatrix is a product from Microsoft. And the exciting part about doing it here at CodeMash is that this is the first time ever that we have released a product at a non-Microsoft event, at a community event. We've done it at VS Live and some other things like that, but those are kind of big pro events, big heavy Microsoft presence and so on. But this CodeMash being a unique conference, very unique conference.
Yeah, it's we got Java people here, we got Ruby people here, PHP people,
right.
And it's not run by Microsoft.
Exactly. And that actually is why we thought this would be the perfect place to launch WebMatrix, is that there's so many different flavors of development that are in this particular mixing pot, and they're all here to match and share ideas and so on. And we thought that that's the perfect opportunity to introduce WebMatrix as a new set of tools and a new paradigm for web development.
So it's not a coincidence that here at CodeMesh, which is all about diversity and crossing boundaries and .NET people learning about other platforms, right. And reverse is true, that this is the product you chose to launch there.
Absolutely.
So what is WebMatrix?
So WebMatrix is, there are three parts to WebMatrix. It's a full-blown development stack for web development. And by that, I mean, the first and most obvious thing you're going to see is WebMatrix, the IDE.
The Integrated Development Environment.
Integrated Development Environment. It is a web development tool. It's very simple and light and elegant, designed to support both ASP.NET and PHP. That's another reason we thought that it worked well here at CodeMash, is it's multi-language and so on and so forth. WebMatrix, the IDE, the Integrated Development Environment, really allows you to create, customize, and publish right from within the IDE. So you can actually manage your publishing. There's some very cool things that go on with publishing from the IDE itself, because it'll actually connect to the web server and do a diff between what you have and what's up there, and only send the files that are required.
Now, that's not true for text files and for binary files?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. So with the diff, it just sends new files up. Mm-hmm. The other thing that's kind of cool is that if you have a server that is a host, so Applied Innovation, where I host my own website, is one of these hosts where they have done the web deploy automation on the back end. And so the IDE will actually open up a file stream and stream all of the content in one straight shot, rather than opening up a new connection for every single file they're sending up.
Okay.
So streamlining and making that publishing part very, very, very quick. Some other cool things about the IDE, actually, let's talk about the rest of it first and then come back to the IDE.
All right, do it.
So in addition to the IDE, I said as a full stack, you also get a web server. And it's a very lightweight web server called IS Express.
Okay, that sounds like the Camino.
Cassini.
Cassini.
Yeah,
sorry,
it is very similar to Cassini in the fact that it is a lightweight web server that runs in your process.
Okay.
So you don't have to be an administrator to connect to it and all that kind of stuff.
But we already had that, but this is different?
This is different because this is actually IS7 trimmed down and running in your process.
Oh, okay. So it's got a lot more features than...
Tremendous amount more features and complete compatibility.
Okay.
So it uses all the same modular architecture. So you have URL redirection as a module you can add in. Okay. You can add in fast CGI if you want to do PHP stuff, which is something you couldn't do with Cassini. It adds in, you can do...
You can create your own ISAPI DLLs and average them with this?
Everything you can do with IS7 you can do with IS Express, except that it runs as you, the user, rather than running in a system account or as an administrator. Mm-hmm. And so it means you can debug against it very quickly, very easily.
Right.
The other cool part about IS Express is that is now in Visual Studio Service Pack 1. And so with Visual Studio Service Pack 1, you'll actually get that as your default development environment or development web server for Visual Studio.
Okay.
Same with SQL Server Compact Edition. SQL Server Compact Edition is a file-based database that has, and this is the exciting part here, completely rewritten so that it has complete API compatibility with SQL Server or SQL Azure.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And those products you just mentioned, SQL Server Compact Edition and the web server.
Yep.
Those are well, the web server is released with WebMatrix today. What about
Yes.
the SQL Server Compact Edition? Is that also part of WebMatrix?
That is also part of WebMatrix.
Okay. All right.
And both of those are also available through Service Pack 1 of Visual Studio.
All right. Which is also, is that been released?
Coming soon to a website near you.
Okay. Maybe released by time.
I don't know the exact release schedule of that. I just know that those will be released as part of SP1.
All right.
You can go download those today.
But they're
And it's install them in your
RC version or something.
Yeah, they're RC version, I think. You can go download them and install them. No, I'm sorry. Those two products, IS Express and Compact SQL Server Compact Edition, those are released.
Okay.
Visual Studio Service Pack 1, I don't believe, is just yet.
Okay.
So you can go download those individually and install them yourself, or wait for Service Pack 1 and you'll get them automatically.
Okay. All right. Great. Let's get back to WebMatrix. So
Yeah.
what else is cool about that?
So WebMatrix, the IDE, really my favorite way to talk about it is actually to talk about the process. Hey, so the process is I can create content from scratch. I can create content from existing content. So if I have a folder with like loose HTML and CSS, JavaScript, right click on that, open it up as a project in WebMatrix. Or I can use an existing open source application. So in the web application gallery, which is microsoft.com/web/gallery, it's been around for like 18 months. You've been able to install applications from it through the web platform installer. We have almost 40 applications up there representing the top ASP.NET and PHP projects. We've got great content management systems like Umbraco and .NET Nuke. .NET Nuke was actually on stage with me today. Those are ASP.NET. We've also got Joomla, who's also on stage with me today.
And that's a PHP based.
That's a PHP
content management system.
PHP. WordPress, Drupal, all of the kind of big boys in both ASP.NET and PHP are in the web application gallery.
Okay.
Those projects, though, when you're trying to solve a business problem, typically solve 80-90% of it. But there's a last mile problem there, and that's where WebMatrix comes in when you're using an open source project.
Okay.
You can the process is you open up WebMatrix, you select I want to start a project from scratch, template, etc.
So this is file new project and
File new project,
those are the templates we're using.
and then but you also have open source project,
Okay.
and you click that, and it opens up the gallery and shows you all of the projects that are available.
All right. So I want to build a new WordPress template or a
Right.
.NET module.
Or even more generic than that, I want to build a content-based website. Well, okay, I need a content management system of some sort. Go out to the gallery through WebMatrix and browse into content management systems or blog engines, and there's a bunch of different categories that we have up there. So you browse into your category, you find an application that you want to play with. And if it happens to be WordPress, fantastic. If it happens to be .NET Nuke, fantastic. And you click on that, and it will download, install all of the dependencies. So WordPress, for example, uses URL redirection from IS7.
Okay.
And so it will make sure that dependency is installed for you.
I see. All right.
Okay, and the .NET Nuke uses SQL Server. It's going to make sure that SQL Server Compact Edition is ready to go, which it is obviously.
And
But
all the reference to system.data and system.data.SQL and so on.
exactly.
Are set.
So Joomla, in its current version, only does MySQL. So it will actually download and install MySQL for you.
Interesting. Is this NuGet that's doing this?
No. This is all
So WebMatrix is doing that.
WebMatrix, and this is actually using our Web Deploy technology.
Okay.
And you don't know about Web Deploy? It looks like.
Tell me about it.
All right, Web Deploy.
Let's pretend I know.
Yeah. So Web Deploy in IS7, it's actually a very, very cool thing. You can open up the IS administrator, right click on an application, and click create package.
Okay.
And it'll zip all of that up, including the settings and the web.config, which is very powerful in IS7. And then if you want to deploy that somewhere else, you can just open up the IS administrator on the other box and click import. And import that same zip file, and it will set it up with all the settings correctly and so on and so forth. Well, that's also been automated through what we call Web Deploy.
I see.
and the web platform installer and the WebMatrix all use the same web deploy technology on the back end.
Okay.
And so what ends up happening is it pulls down the package. In the package is an XML manifesto that says, here are all the settings and all the dependencies and everything else that I need for my application. Installs that, and then it opens up that code in your IDE. And so you can muck with it, customize it, whatever you need to do to it, apply custom templates to it. You can debug it in whatever browser you have installed in the box. It'll give you a drop-down list so you can pick and say, I want to test this one in IE9, I want to test this one in Firefox, I want to test this, test this one in Chrome, and test all of those projects very quickly. It gives you syntax highlighting for both ASP.NET and PHP, some IntelliSense and other things. And then once you finish customizing, you publish. And to publish, you just click the publish button. The publish button, it will look to see if you have a host configured for this project. If you don't, it'll prompt you, and you tell it, here are the credentials. Well, the host, such as Applied Innovation, can actually send you a XML file that has all that configuration ready to go. And so you click to select that, and it will import all those settings, then you hit publish.
Nice.
So to back up and recap without a lot of the detail, I decide I need a blog engine, or I need a blog online. I open up WebMatrix, I browse out to the gallery, pick which blog engine I want, whether that's Umbraco or .NET Nuke or WordPress. I install it. I click it, it brings it down, installs it, opens up the code. I customize, publish, all from within the IDE.
Okay.
That's WebMatrix.
Okay. So on my machine, I currently have Visual Studio, IDE. I have SQL Server, a database, and I have IIS, a web server. I have all the pieces that you mentioned that are part of WebMatrix. Would I be the kind of guy that would I install WebMatrix as well as Visual Studio? And when would I use one versus the other? I personally use both tools very often. Okay. Because WebMatrix is going to be lighter and faster. It has PHP support, and I end up doing a lot of PHP work these days. If you want to do a lot of PHP work, then WebMatrix is the way to go. Yes. WebMatrix also has got great debugging and CSS editing kind of capabilities. There's some great lightweight kind of stuff that I do with WebMatrix because it is such a lighter environment than Visual Studio. Okay, so lighter means it probably doesn't have some of the features of Visual Studio. It does not have the features of Visual Studio. So when I'm doing really heavy development, then I'm going to be pulling up Visual Studio. Okay. If I'm making a couple of tweaks, I'm going to open up WebMatrix. Okay. So you see people switching back and forth these on a daily basis? I believe that. Okay. Because I do that. Okay. So it's not necessarily this is the target audience for this, and that's the target audience for that. Now, the thing, you can build a full website with WebMatrix or with Visual Studio. You don't need both tools. Sure. I also don't need a GPS and my phone. I think you don't need Visual Studio if you're on a notepad. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, but kind of like I've got a GPS on my phone. Right. And I use that sometimes. Yeah, but it's hard to mount. It's hard to see when you're driving. And I also use it in my data plan, and there are disadvantages to it. Right. I also have a Garmin Nuvi GPS. Right. I use them for different scenarios. Right. Similarly, WebMatrix and Visual Studio, we're going to use those for different scenarios. Okay. I use WebMatrix quite a bit for quick, fast, easy work. For my deeper, richer development, especially if I'm doing like ASP.NET MVC framework stuff, which we also had a lot of announcements about, I will open a Visual Studio. Okay. Now, the cool part is there is that migration and growth path. So if you want to start something with WebMatrix, you can, and then you can grow into Visual Studio. Oh, that's interesting. Is that a one-way path, or can you take the same project and switch it back and forth? That's what you do. So WebMatrix is not going to do like a lot of code behind kind of work, and it's not a full-fledged C# editor. Okay. It will do some C# coding, but it is not as rich a project as Visual Studio. So one more thing though that I'd like to talk about, though, just briefly at least, is the new Razor syntax. Yeah, I learned something recently about Razor. I've been reading about it on some MVC blogs. Right. And I was under the impression it was just an NVC thing.
Right.
It's not.
No.
In fact, it's not even just a web thing or just a development thing. It's a templating engine, right?
Yeah, it's a templating engine, and we have a full-blown parser behind Razor. All right. So for the audience, briefly, Razor, very simple, lightweight syntax that allows you to flow very simply between like HTML and your code.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, you just drop an @ sign and it says, "Hey, I've got code starting right here," and it will parse and say, "Oh, your code ended. We're back into HTML mode."
It just understands.
It just understands
It says,
that.
"Oh, this is code-like syntax. It
Right.
must be code. This is HTML-like syntax. It
Yes.
must be HTML."
And it's about damn time that the computers start working for us.
Yeah.
I mean, that's really what it comes down to.
Sure.
Is, we've had a tremendous amount of ceremony in our code in order to appease the computers and appease the parsers of old.
Sure.
This drops that syntax, that ceremony, down to an @ sign. That's what it does.
Yep.
But it allows us to very seamlessly mix HTML and code into the single file and just flow from one to the other.
Mm-hmm.
It is one of the major technologies behind ASP.NET Web Pages. There's kind of three flavors now: Web Pages, MVC Framework, and Web Forms. Okay, those are the three different ways to do ASP.NET development. But behind Web Pages is the Razor engine. It also happens to be one of the view engines available with ASP.NET MVC 3.
Right, that's what they're about.
Right, and so from the keynote today, I don't know if anybody was watching the keynote today. Early on, it looked like Razor was just available in Web Pages and was part of WebMatrix. Not so much. It is its own thing that is going to be pervasive through Web Pages and MVC Framework, and is really it's the new way to do ASP.NET development on the view side at least.
Right.
Going forward.
Okay. And that was also released today.
Yeah, that was released today. That's ready to go. Absolutely. And you can go get that from Microsoft.com/web.
And MVC3 was released today.
Yes.
And what else?
So a whole bunch of stuff. A whole bunch of stuff.
We don't know details about it. Maybe we can listen.
Yeah. No. I mean, we could go on for hours and hours and hours. ASP.NET MVC3, NuGet, which is a package manager for .NET, allowing you to kind of find, manage, install all the open source packages around .NET.
Okay.
That's from the Outer Curve Foundation. We've been working with them very heavily on that one. Orchard 1.0 release dropped today.
That's the MVC content management system.
Yes.
It was part of Microsoft Research.
It was part of Microsoft Research. It's been spun off and given over to the Outer Curve Foundation.
Okay. It's been like this version 0.99.
Right, forever. Yeah. But today there was a 1.0 release,
Nice.
1.0 drop, and then IS Express, Compact SQL Server Compact Edition, WebMatrix. We talked a decent amount about some of the jQuery stuff that we've been doing. Lots of contributions to jQuery. It was jam packed full of announcements and stuff. Oh, TemplateMonster.com. If you their own entity, they've been in operation for a very long time. We're developers. We're not designers.
Yeah.
I've seen some of the websites you produced.
They're not bad. They don't suck.
Don't suck is kind of how we describe most developer websites, right? TemplateMonster.com, they're very, very good at what they do. They release a lot of templates, and some of these are for sale, some of these are free, but TemplateMonster.com.
I've used tools like that.
They have just released a whole bunch of new templates that all use the Razor syntax.
Okay.
Yeah, so that's pretty.
Nice
That's
colors
pretty.
and fonts
Yes.
and graphics.
Yes.
For those of us who are already design challenged,
Yes. Colorblind.
for example.
The second thing is, another thing, helpers in ASP.NET WebMatrix, and really with the Razor syntax. Helpers, what it does is it wraps up some amount of functionality and gives it to you as a one-liner.
Okay.
So if I want to drop a Facebook like button,
Right.
I type @facebook.like button.
Mm-hmm.
If I want to send somebody money with PayPal, I use simplepay.execute and open up, and I send it some parameters like email address, amount, who to, and we're done.
Yeah, that's nice. MVC framework is filled with things like that, but they're much simpler things.
Yeah.
You want to build a drop-down list, for example.
Right.
Or a hidden field does that. You're talking about a whole widget, a PayPal,
Yes.
which could be a lot
Yes.
of code. It could be
Yes.
a couple hundred lines of code.
Easily. And these wrap up all the nastiness of learning all those other APIs and
Yeah.
all that kind of stuff. And there's lots of good ones out there. There's a Foursquare one, there's a Bitly one, there's one for like user voice. They released today. I mean, there's a whole bunch of stuff that's out there, and those are all open source and available. And so if you furthermore, there's a couple of foundational ones that you can use. One for the Open Data Protocol, or OData.
Yep.
And so you can hit any service
Outstanding.
that does OData with that helper, with a one-liner. Or you can actually store information, retrieve information from Windows Azure with another one of the foundational ones.
Wow.
Yeah, so there's a lot of cool stuff went into it.
All right. Where do people go to learn more about and to download WebMatrix?
Microsoft.com/web.
Where do people go to learn more about and to download Josh Holmes?
JoshHolmes.com.
Josh Holmes, thank you so much for your time.
Absolutely.
Congratulations on your promotion and your move to Ireland.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm pretty excited about the move to Ireland. I'm going to miss a lot of the guys here.
We're going to miss you.
And it's just one of those where I wish I could move all over the world and take the people that I want to take with me. Unfortunately,
We'll find
it's a
you.
very, very big boat at this point in time. Because I've got a lot of good friends here.
All right, thanks a lot.
All right, thank you. I am thrilled to be in technology today. It's a very exciting time to be in technology today because I've made so many friends here in the technology world, but B, technology today is really helping push friends together rather than pushing friends apart. If you think about the friends of old, when they got onto the Mayflower, or if they got onto a train in Boston in the 1800 and something, and they went west, go west, young man. There was a almost 0% chance they were ever going to see anybody that they loved and cared for ever again. And then if you take a look at even when I was a kid and we were moving around the United States, my grandmother thought we were pretty much dead and gone because, well, long distance was very expensive. They didn't have video chat, etc. Now long distance is pretty much free just about anywhere in the world. Skype is rocking, Twitter, Facebook. We've got tremendous numbers of ways to keep very, very close through technology with our friends. So as I'm getting ready to move to Ireland, I'm looking forward to maintaining all of my friendships and all of the people that I love and care for and hang out with. And I'm still going to be able to do that just virtually through technology because technology makes friends possible. It's awesome.